everyone. Welcome to our Writing Gals Live today. We are so excited to have a guest with us today. It's been I don't know how long it's been since we've had a guest, so we're so excited to have Bryan Cohen with us to talk about ads and blurbs and all that awesome stuff. He is an expert in those areas, so I'm super excited to learn from him. But before we get into that part, we'll all just kind of go around and say what we're working on, because we like to talk about what we're working on too, because that's always fun to see what everyone is doing right now. So let's start with Victorine. What have you been working on?
All right. After 20 books, during 20 books week, we were doing Vegas stuff.
Oh, nice.
Hubby went with me, and so we had tons of fun in Vegas.
I kept looking for pictures of the conference and just saw all the stuff you were doing.
I actually did go to classes, I swear. The conference was amazing, and you can look that up on YouTube. They have a bunch of awesome classes on YouTube. And Vegas was awesome. But now that I'm home, I'm getting back into my writing, and I'm trying to finish the next chapter that's going to go up in my Kindle Vella story, Angels Can't Fall in Love. And that'll go up probably today.
Cool.
I'm super excited about that. I'm also working on a reader magnet for a promotion I'm doing next year. And so getting excited about working on that and finishing up my Billionaire Club series, the last book that I'm working on. So I'm doing like 3 things at once.
Wow, that's awesome. I do not know how to multitask. So
Not recommended.
Awesome. What about you, Michelle? What have you been working on?
So I just got back from a writing retreat with Anne-Marie, and she's not with us today. I'm sure somebody's noticed that we have Bryan Cohen instead of Anne-Marie. But we had a lot of time to write. We spent a lot of it just having good talks and watching dramas. But I came to this massive realization in the middle of NaNoWriMo that I'm not writing the same way I used to, and I'm excited about it. So now that I'm writing 3 different Kindle Vella stories at once, there's not like a big push to do like 8,000 words or 10,000 words in one day and finish a novel. So I spent a lot of my time writing, an episode, editing an episode, uploading an episode, just there's so many different, you go through all the stages every episode, right? And so it's not just all draft and then all edit and then all publish. It's everything in micro pieces. And so I spent as much time editing and publishing on the retreat as I did writing. And that was fun for me because I really like the instant gratification that brings instead of having to finish a whole novel at once. I can be like, yay, I'm done. I did it. And I get that 4 or 5 times a week now. So, so that's what I'm doing now that I'm home, is working on finishing one of my Vella stories. It's still in the top 20, which I'm really excited about. It's been there since it launched. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen to it as it finishes, because we're 4 or 5 episodes away from wrapping up the story. And all the stories I've seen finishing that were also in the top fave stories have gone down in ranks once they're finished, and it's just going to happen because it's publishing, keeping your episodes fresh and your story fresh with your followers that keeps it in those top faves, because new people that come into the story are going to just binge the whole thing, and you might get 1 or 2 faves out of them instead of getting a fave from them every single week while you publish. So that's why I'm excited that I've got 2 more already rolling out. So that I can keep things going over there. But
awesome.
I'm just a Vella thing.
Yeah, every time you guys talk about it, I'm like, maybe I should try that, but I don't know.
I think it's a personality thing.
To
start with, especially when it's so new. It fits mine perfectly, but I think you should try it at some point.
I've been having a ton of fun with it.
It's really fun, right?
Yeah, it's super fun.
It is.
You might convince me one of these days. We'll see. What about you, Bryan? Are you working on anything exciting right now?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks y'all for having me. I appreciate you letting me come on and say hey.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. And so right now, my big thing is I am trying a new pre-order strategy. I am trying to run a Kickstarter campaign instead of just doing the old Amazon pre-order and see how many you can get there. And so the nice thing about that is we get to throw in all these bonuses and rewards and really, like, the big reason I wanted to do it, and this is for a book called Self-Publishing with Amazon Ads that I'm going to be putting out early next year. And the big reason we wanted to do it is just all the folks who follow me and follow my team, wanted to give them like extra perks, not just this book, just wanted to give them all the things they might want all at once, kind of a smorgasbord of different things. And so I do have a link for that, which is kickamsads.com. And yes, it does sound like something else. And you you can check that out. It runs through December 2nd. But that's like so fun, just like you, Michelle, with getting to try Vela. And obviously you said, Victorine, that you were working on it too. Like, hey, new, cool, shiny thing to try. And it's fun to try these new things to just see how they go. And I'm having a lot of fun with that right now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, they I attended the Romance Author Mastermind thing, and they had a class about doing Kickstarter campaigns for books and whatever, as authors, how beneficial they are. So I'm excited to see how this does for you, and maybe I'll try that too sometime.
Too many things, Judy.
I know. I just got to write the books. I have a hard enough time doing that. Okay. And for me, I'm just working on writing The Ruse, the book that I've been doing for a while, and I've been trying to do NaNoWriMo. I'm like 10,000 words behind, but I'm still working at it. So if I don't get 50,000, that's okay, because I'm still getting more than I probably would have otherwise. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing.
Which is why I hate that Thanksgiving's at the end of NaNoWriMo, because it's really hard to make up word count with them.
I know. I'm like, well, yes. I'll just do what I do. Okay.
Should have been January. Who made it
right?
November?
I know. After all the busy stuff, but whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna just read a quick little bio on Bryan so that everyone can hear how amazing he is. So I just got this off of his Amazon, so he's pretty cool. So it says Bryan is an ad guy, author, and Blurbs CEO. He's the creator of the 5-day Amazon Ad Profit Challenge, a free quarterly community course for authors that served over 25,000 authors. I'm one of those authors. I signed up for it. He's also the CEO of Best Page Forward, an author copywriting agency that's written for 3,000 book descriptions for the self-published author community. Bryan is the co-host of the Sell More Books Show podcast, a weekly news show for authors that's been downloaded over 1 million times. Some of the above things sound like bragging, but Bryan is truly grateful for all the wonderful opportunities he's had to connect with authors. He lives with his wonderful wife, and hilarious daughter in Carborough, North Carolina. So
you said it right. You said Carborough right. You did great.
I was practicing beforehand, everyone. Okay, cool. So you are the expert on all these questions that I have for you, so I'm excited to learn. So I was thinking we'd start with like blurbs at first. I try to have some kind of a order to what we're doing. So we have some questions from our Facebook group, and then also if we have viewers watching and they think of something, we might be able to get to those questions as well. So here's the first burning question: is should your blurb be written in the same tense and point of view as your novel?
That is a great question, and we get that question a lot for sure. I think it has less to do with the tense of and the POV of your novel than just what are other books, particularly indies, what are they doing in the genre? Because the prevailing POV for most blurbs is third person. And so you do not need to, just because your book is in first person, have a first person blurb. Now, first person is definitely becoming more prevalent, certainly in some romance subgenres. But I got to tell you, first person is hard because you're essentially writing a poem length ode to your character's inner self that must be excellent for about 3 consecutive paragraphs. And there's a little more wiggle room with the third person. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles, but usually it's gonna be that third person. And if it's first person, please get an editor to help with it. Get you send the 60,000 word book to the editor. Hey, can you take a look at my blurb too? Like, just get that little extra. They're like, oh, that's like 200 words. No big deal.
Yep.
Get help on it, because if you are in a vacuum and then you put it up, you just don't really know how it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. You have just a little bit of text to convince someone to read your book, so you want to get it as good as you can. Okay, and then I'm wondering if you have like a certain formula that helps you like when you're writing the blurb, because for me it's hard to like take this like 90,000 word novel and fit it into less than 200 words. So is there certain ways that can like get us started, or things to make check off that we have?
Right. Absolutely. Because that is the scary thing. And I think that especially for some of our epic fantasy friends with even 200,000 words and 5 POV characters and all of that, it's like, what do I even do? And I think a lot of it at first is making some choices rather than condensing. You want to decide, all right, I probably can't fit all 5 POV characters in this, or I can't fit 3. If I were to pick 1 or 2, who would I pick? You have to make a decision of, okay, a lot of stuff happens in my book, but what's the inciting incident that really kicks things off? And you have to make these choices so that you work from a little bit of a skeleton rather than the whole giant several 100-page thing, because you can, from a kid's book, generate ideas from 20 pages, and those ideas can be the framework of a 200-word blurb. You can generate ideas from I don't know, I was like trying to do page calculations in my head, 500-page novel. And as long as you're working from the same framework, which usually, if we are going to go formula, I like to have a hook that talks about what the character wants, or if it's a romance, it would usually be what both characters want. So what the characters want, what's in their way, and what are the consequences if they don't get what they want. And so with romance, it usually has to do with what happens if they don't fall in love, or will that love potentially evade them while they are trying to deal with all this other stuff that's happening. And with a lot of other genre fiction, it's usually, with most other genre fiction, it's, will the world blow up? Will this killer kill people? Will this magical fantasy world implode? Or will this person save the day? And so from the hook perspective, it's usually that. The rest of the blurb, we usually tend to focus on what is the emotional journey for the character, rather than 10 million plot points and 60 side characters. What is this character going through? And then when stuff happens to them, what are they going through then? It is really kind of what it follows a lot more than trying to hit plot point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way through 100.
Can I just jump in real quick and say an interesting dynamic with Kindle Vella starting and so many authors going over there is you only get 500 characters for your blurb on Kindle Vella. So it's like you have to like edit down until the best of the best of the best. And like you said, the points you mentioned, like you have to get all of those things in so quickly and so concisely. And I actually really love the challenge, but that's for epic fantasy on there. Everything. And it doesn't matter if you end up with 1,000 episodes, you still just get those 500 characters. So I'm sure.
That was so hard.
It is so hard.
It was really hard.
Have you guys seen anybody asking for help with Kindle Vella blurbs yet?
I think people are trying to, they're trying to white knuckle it. They're trying to just do it themselves. And I think it really comes down to, for that short of a length, I would do a hook and a selling paragraph. I would do, here's the hook of the book, which usually has to be under 150 characters for an Amazon ad anyway. and then use the other 350 characters to say what genre it is, what kind of things you might like about it. And if there's room for a call to action, go pick up your next Vela obsession today sort of thing.
Nice.
I need to put obsession in all of my blurbs. That sounds good. It's your next obsession. Okay. Okay, sorry. I'm rethinking all my
Judy's
blurbs.
making notes.
I know. I'm like, I gotta rewrite all my blurbs right now. Okay, so we had another question. It said, I am new to advertising and am writing my blurb currently for my first published novel. My question is, what tips do you have that will make your blurb stand out from others, and what things tend to deter readers?
Great question. I think that the thing that a lot of authors do that tends to deter readers is run on sentences. And this usually comes from, oh, well, I need to put in that plot point. I need to put in this plot. Well, they won't know what that means unless I put in this plot point, and then it just builds from there. And I think that like what readers are a lot more likely to connect with, rather than looking at this complicated sentence and assuming, oh, the whole thing is complicated. You want to keep it simple. You don't want sentences to, I love the 1 comma rule in blurbs. No more than 1 comma per sentence. And if it would be grammatically incorrect to keep it at that 1 comma, it means there is too much in the sentence. It's we don't need to tell them everything.
Yeah.
We that's one of the reasons we've kind of gone towards focusing on this emotional journey, because if it's just like this person is the subject of every sentence, it's about what they're going through, things happen to them, like usually that comma is like after the thing happened to them, comma, and then what they're dealing with emotionally, and then kind of continuing on with that to keep giving momentum. So I would say this is one of the reasons why we send it to our editor if we can. Avoid those run-ons, avoid overcomplicating things, and feel free to save it for the book.
Okay. I'm curious, does it matter like how it's like formatted on the page? Does that like, do you think affect the way readers?
It can. It affects that if it's bad. If it's a wall of text. And sometimes you'll have it like it looks nice for the Kindle version. You ever look at the paperback version or the hardcover version, and you look over and it's like, it looks like a legal contract. It's just all condensed, 11-point font. And so check it after you post it, certainly. But there are different ways. Like there's our way, which is usually like a hook, a paragraph break, 2 paragraphs, and then a kind of dangling last line cliffhanger at the end, followed by a selling paragraph and a call to action. Brian Meeks, who's also amazing. Well, I'm not saying I'm amazing. Brian Meeks, who is amazing.
I'll say it for you.
He's also great at, I don't know. I don't want to talk myself up too much. Brian likes to do 1 sentence per line. And so there's different ways to format these things. And I think that you look at what the genre is doing, you look at what looks best on the page, but definitely however it's going to be spaced, it needs to be spaced somehow if it's not going to just be like, you need to be able to look at it and pick things out, and you can't do that with the wall of text.
Yeah. And I've noticed with mine, like my 3rd person blurbs, I have like 3 nice paragraphs or whatever. And then my 1st person ones, it's like a sentence, a sentence, a sentence. And like, is that terrible? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think, especially if you see, and I see that for 1st person blurbs where there is the spacing. I still do, when we do 1st person blurbs, I still do the paragraphs, because the thing, I like the spacing.
Yeah.
But it also makes it longer. And so you don't want to give off the perception that this is going to take forever to get through. So it's tough. It's tough.
That's what I've worried about too. Because I'm like, I myself, like, I don't want to read a big, huge, long thing. I just want to know it immediately because time is ticking, whatever. Yes. So, okay, good to think about. Okay, let me see. Oh, do you have a way that you like to test a blurb to make sure it's a good one? Like before it's published? Is there a way to test it, or is it just once it's published you have to know?
People say that you can use one of those testing websites, like the one that always got sent about was PickFu, and I don't know. I think the best way to test, and this stinks. This is like when I was at 20 Books, I was at 20 Books as well. When I did a talk, I basically had to give a lot of tough love, which is if you want to truly know how well a book is doing with its existing book description, cover, subtitle, everything, run some ads, get 100 clicks, see how many sales and full KU cover to cover page reads you got. Then you'll know.
Yeah.
And then, here's the tough part. Then you change something. Then you get another 100 clicks and you compare the control group and the experimental group. And that's no fun to do.
Yeah,
but it
that is a good
the
idea,
right way
though.
to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go test all mine because right now I'm like, I don't know if, at least in one series, I'm like, I don't know if they're just working very well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Myra has a live question.
Oh, let me look at that. I'm looking at my notes. Okay. Let's show that. So she says, in blurbs, I detail the tropes I'll be using. Do you feel that is something that should be included or not really necessary?
I think that's a good question. Yes, I think they can be included. Usually that's not like up top. That's more like in what we call the selling paragraph, where we talk about the genre. You can talk about the tropes. If you like friends to lovers, if you like small town romance, like you can include those kind of things in there. But I will say one other thing, because this is the interesting thing, and I feel like this is my fault. Like I blame myself for an industry-wide problem, which is great. Like that's the kind of guilt, like Jewish mother, like that's the kind
that
of
just
guilt.
shows how awesome you are and influential.
Sure, yeah, I'll take that. Thank you for spinning that around.
Yeah.
So I always talked about, all right, well, you've got your ads, you've got your blurbs. If you're not closing people when they get to your sales page, if they're not getting the sale, it must be the blurb. And then everybody kind of picked up on that. And I looked into the research of that and I was like, oh, that's not like 100% true, because there are other aspects on the sales page once people are there that can contribute to whether or not somebody buys. Because you could have the most amazing blurb in the world, have 1 3-star review, and people aren't going to buy. Or you could have a very confusing subtitle, or you could have all sorts of stuff on there. The cover doesn't look as good when it's at that different view. And so the other place you can include those tropes, Myra, is in your subtitle. So you could have a small town romance. You could have a paranormal cozy mystery in your subtitle. Now, don't overdo it. We've all seen them. A thrilling, incredible ride to the seat of your pants with an ending you won't believe as the whole subtitle. And we see books that are doing well do this, and we think that must be why they're doing well. But I don't know. It's skeezy to me, and I don't think Amazon likes it either.
Well, we kind of feel a little guilty as the writing gals a little bit, because we were trying to tell people to get your tropes into your title, and we didn't mean literally drop your tropes straight into your title. We meant more like infer,
right,
like,
in a nice,
this
pretty
is what
way
to be about. And instead we have the billionaire cowboy's best friend next door's
doctor,
secretary's baby, as a whole title. And we're like, that's not what we meant.
Well, there's your influence right there.
And yeah, but I definitely think that whether it's your blurb or your subtitle or your actual title, like try and put the essence of your trope in there more than straight out saying it, and leave like the very specific point, like you said, Bryan, to that selling part at the end of your blurb, because it really does work better there, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that. So when I'm wondering for myself, in case I decide to have you write my blurbs, what kind of information do we need to provide you to do that? What do you ask ask us to, as authors, to give you to be able to create the blurb?
Great question. And I think like the questions we ask, some people are like, that's too many questions. And some people are like, oh, I have all that information right here. So it's really who depends on who you ask. But we usually ask a lot of character details, especially when it comes to character motivations, because we are going to focus on that character emotional journey. So we'll ask authors what the character wants. And obviously, if it's two main characters, we'll ask what each one wants. We'll ask kind of a physical description so that we can at least pepper some things in there, especially if it is romance. And we may need to describe how sexy the dude is. We are going to ask some questions about what is that inciting incident that kicks off the action. We're going to ask for a summary of we say 4-act summary. And I know some people say, but I write in 3 acts, 3 is fine. We just want to know even just a little vague progression of things. People get nervous sometimes. They're like, oh, you're going to spoil it. So they find out the murderer. I'm like, we do need to like know kind of how the book ends. Like, we're not going to say, and the butler did it at the end of the blurb. Of course not. But those are kind of the questions we tend to ask. And I think that it's really funny seeing the wide span of some people basically writing a book to us in the submission form and some people putting very short answers. So I think it really depends. But the nice thing about it, and this is like an added benefit I've found, is just that sometimes it gets you thinking about your book in a different way. And that's so helpful for the marketing side of things. You really, really want to know the ins and outs of this so that you can run ads later, so that you can maybe you do some kind of thing in your email. Like you could use bits and pieces from the form as part of your email to talk about the book that's coming out. There's lots of different things with it. But yeah, I think some people think it's maybe a little too long, but we also don't want to screw it up.
Yeah. And you can find maybe the pieces that will really help readers want to get it. And I think it's also helpful to do that, like even just as an author, to get a good handle on your story. If maybe because I find that if I write my blurb either near the beginning of when I'm writing the book or before, it kind of helps me get an idea on a little better handle on what I need to put into that book to make it interesting, or what those hooks are. So
I love the idea of writing the blurb first. I just did a class on it, and I think it is so smart if you're writing to market, because I have no idea what should go in this sentence because I need to do a little more research here.
Plus, I think after you've written your book, your brain is just full of all this good stuff in your story, and you want the reader to know all of it instead of focusing on hooking the reader and selling to them. You're trying to like tell them the whole story, and I think that's what so many authors struggle with. And like I find it really helpful just for being able to say, before I've really gone into it and I know how wonderful the scene is or how exciting the subplot is, I'm going to start with the bare bones of what the story about. And those are really the points you need to have in the blurb anyway. So do you ever get authors that are requesting your help with their blurbs before they write the story? Or is that just something you're starting to recommend to people?
It's something we're starting to recommend more because I think it's a really good idea for a strong foundation. But we absolutely have gotten people early in the process. We've also gotten people getting new blurbs on books that they wrote so long ago they do not remember the book. And those are really interesting because it's like,
I'm like, could I just give you my old blurb and you make it shiny?
I know that's what some of them think is the way to do it. And it's like, well, your old blurb is, there was a reason it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so I think that we have gotten a good idea on what to do for blurbs. So let's move on to our ad questions. We get to, get people to see those blurbs and buy our books. So let me go to the first question. So someone said or asked, is advertising for your first novel a good idea, or should you wait until you have more books out?
There's a lot of guidance on this subject, especially if you're writing in a series. The guidance that has been typically put out is wait until your third book comes out. There's reasons for that. If people buy the first book, they like it, they may read through into books 2 and book 3, which would mean that your profitability and your chance for profitability goes up. Now, I like the concept of Amazon ads as like a simmering pot of water. It's not something that you are necessarily trying to get to a full boil right away. I think it is nice to know where your book stands, and it is nice to keep a little bit of traffic going towards it, even if it's like break even, like you put out $50 a month and you make $50 in royalties from that. Those $50 worth of sales could lead to some reviews. It could lead to some people saying, I can't wait until book 2. I'm joining your email list. So there's definitely benefits to it. But at the same time, getting those 100 clicks and knowing, oh man, I am writing book 2 in this series, but I'm only selling 1 copy and getting 1 KU read worth after 100 clicks. That's like 50 to 1 clicks until I got some kind of sale. Is it my writing? Is it the genre? Is it the cover? And it's nice to know that early in the process, because you also don't want to get in the trap. I'm writing the 4th book now. I started running ads and nobody's buying it. That's a lot of time and effort put into things. It makes you want to go write Vella. So
yeah.
It's like, let's write shorter stories.
Yeah. Let's get that instant feedback.
Exactly.
Okay, good to know. And then to kind of go along with that, if you are going to advertise your first book, what is the best way to advertise it?
It depends on who you ask, right? Because there's also different guidance on this. Some people will say bid high and creep it down. Some people will say pick some very specific books and start running ads to those. I have a different philosophy, and I love everybody who teaches ads, because everybody who's teaching ads is trying to help people. So like, try a philosophy, try another philosophy. I'm all good with that. My philosophy personally is let's keep the costs as low as humanly possible. Because if the costs and the bids that go along with those costs, a bid is how much you pay for a click. If you are going to bid higher, profit goes down because more money out. And that means less money in for the same amount of things. You bid 75 cents, you bid $1.50. You'll get some clicks. I forgot which hand was which because we're all flipped in here. So I'm like, woo! But if you bid higher, profit is going to go down. So we like to bid lower. We tend to recommend for a first in series bidding 39 cents in the US store. 34 cents if it's a standalone. If only 1 book's out in a series, treat it like a standalone. And for children's books and low content like workbooks, we recommend 15 cents because those can actually get clicks faster. Now that's a guideline. Like, it doesn't mean that 39 cents is automatically going to make you profitable, because that is not always the case. It's just a guideline for a low enough bid that can get clicks.
Yeah.
And so you bid at these low amounts, and we recommend you get a couple of like the easier ads going. Auto ad, Amazon picks the targets for you. It's based on your metadata. And so it's like, well, hopefully you put in like the right kind of categories and keywords for your book, or else that won't be right. Category ads, which target your genre. Amazon will say, here's a suggested bid for this category. Ignore it. It's telling you, do you want to get like clicks on even the #1 book in this genre? To which you should say no, because the suggested bid is usually way higher than 39 cents.
Yeah.
In romance, you're seeing $2, $3. Like, no, too rich for my blood. Fold. I'm out. and go with those lower because you don't need to be on the number one book all the time.
Yeah.
And then we recommend keyword ads. The name of the game with keywords is relevancy. Your targets, the author names you choose, the book titles you choose that you choose to target, you need to make sure they are as closely related to your book as possible. No Hunger Games, no Harry Potters. Don't go for, oh, this is the number one best-selling book in the world right now. Boom. No, one, you're not going to get those clicks anyway.
Mhm.
Two, they're not relevant. And
Mhm.
you need to be as relevant as possible. So it's keep those low bids, do some simpler types of ads. Don't dabble in lock screens and sponsored brand ads. Those are like, whoo, money pits. And
Mhm.
so keep it simple, keep the bids low, and that's going to increase the chances of profitability.
Okay, so where do you like recommend we find those keywords? Like,
That's a
do,
good
like from the top 100 list or from like where? I guess.
Right. No, it's a great question. Some people use Publisher Rocket, Dave Chesson's software. We found that sometimes that mixes in a few of those pop keywords. And so if you are going to use Dave's software, you just want to edit it heavily after to make sure there's nothing that is irrelevant there. We tend to recommend the Instant Data Scraper plugin. It looks like a little Pokeball, and it's for Google Chrome. You can actually use it to scrape Goodreads Listopia lists. You can use it to scrape Amazon searches. Usually we start on maybe the second page there because sometimes the first block of sponsored stuff messes up the data scraper's ability to pull. Alex Newton's K-Lytics has great little keyword lists and lists of titles in his genre reports. It's one of those things you like don't think about it until you're looking for keywords, but when you start looking for keywords, you start to see them everywhere. It's that what is that mental? It's like
it's something reticular
yes,
system
exactly.
activity.
Yeah. Is that something reticulator thing? Yes, yeah. That was exactly the thing. And like you see a red car after you think about buying a red car, you see red cars everywhere. You'll start thinking about keywords everywhere as well.
Okay. So what was it? I've never heard of that instant data scraper. What was it called? Is that what it is?
Instant data scraper. Yes.
Okay. I'll have to look into that then because that sounds cool. Yeah. Especially with like getting the Goodreads.
Yeah, those are really fun. You do need to do some editing because a bunch of really big trad pub books will end up in those lists, but you have to edit a novel, you have to edit a keyword list too.
Yeah, and once you find a good one, it might be really great for you. Yeah. Okay, so someone asked, I'm going to just pop it up there. She says, I'm not published yet. The thought of learning ads is so intimidating. What do you recommend to someone who is new? Where should I start? Where should I start learning on a budget?
I mean, you're basically a plant, Myra, because like I have a quarterly thing that's free every 4 months, 3 months. I don't know how many months are in a year, apparently 16, right? And so every 3 months we have a free challenge that we do, and it's just the cost of the ads basically, which usually people spend less than $10 when they're first starting out over the course of a week. And those like, is that link set up to our January challenge? And I don't actually believe it is, but it is something to look out for. Just they're called the 5-day Amazon ad profit challenge, and we do it for free. We're like, I was like describing this a little bit, and someone was like, oh wait, so you have your entire team and a bunch of volunteers and a bunch of students from your paid course all do this work. You have all these people that you're paying throughout the whole week. So you're not just doing this for free. You're basically losing money while it's going on to teach ads. And I'm like, well, not completely, because obviously some people join my paid course at that time. But it's like, I love that we get the chance to do it because it is wild getting to work on ads when a lot of other people are doing it. So you're not just doing it alone.
Mhm.
And when someone has oh my gosh, like my ad has no impressions, like 10 other people say, mine too, we're in the same boat.
Mhm.
And then we say, be patient, it's okay. And
Yeah.
so that is where I would recommend it. But one of the reasons I'm also doing that self-publishing with Amazon ads book is so that people who learn more from written materials, so that they're able to kind of assimilate that material as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for that book because I like to see everything. Cool. Let me see where the next.
And Cindy said that strategy works so well for me. And so, yay, Cindy.
Yay,
that's
woo.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we just have a couple more questions. So one of them, which platforms tend to be the most beneficial when advertising? I'm guessing you'd probably say Amazon, maybe?
I lean towards Amazon. I'll tell you why. This was funny. When I was doing my 20 books talk, I was just telling my therapist about this actually. So I had therapy right before this, so I'm like super therapized.
Nice.
So the way it was set up in the platinum room where I was, all the tables where people could like spread out their stuff and like be a little like not on top of each other were in the back, and then it was chairs in the front. And so nobody was in the chairs, basically. Everyone was way in the back. And no, there were some people in the chairs. But I was like, hey, y'all, you can move up. Like you can move on up if you want. And of course, nobody moved. And that's my analogy for trying to get someone from Facebook or BookBub to go to another whole site. Like, oh, I have to get up and I'm all comfy here. I was just doing social media. I was just looking through this email on BookBub. Like, I don't want to actually go anywhere or do anything. But on Amazon, they're looking for stuff to buy. They're looking for books. They're looking for their next KU read. They're looking for their next Bella read. And so it's like, if you can, and Bella doesn't have ads yet, but I'm guessing they will at some point in the future. So if you are on another site and trying to get someone to move to the front, move to Amazon, it's a little bit more of a jump, which is why I tend to say that Amazon clicks are more valuable than Facebook clicks, are more valuable than BookBub clicks, because people don't have to move as far. Can you get more Facebook and BookBub clicks more quickly than Amazon clicks? 100%. Absolutely. But you're paying more per click and your conversion is going to be lower, conversion being the percentage of people who actually go to buy, than if you just send them from Amazon. So that's why I tend to recommend Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, I like that reasoning too, because I know this like me when I'm using social media. I even get like a little bit of like stress if I'm like, oh, I have to go jump, then I'm going to lose my place on this other thing and forget this other thing I was trying to do, and I can't do this. So that's just my anxiety prone.
No, same. I had that exact same thing happen this morning. I was like, I'm gonna miss this comment. I better save that, and then
I gotta get a new window somehow and hope it doesn't disappear and crash. So yeah. Okay, so then this next question is one that I am really excited for you to answer because I wonder about this all the time. So if an auto ad is spending like crazy but not generating much in sales, what do you do? Do you adjust the bid or daily spend, wait a certain amount of time, or turn it off and start a new one?
Well, the first thing I do is I open up the entire picture. Because if I'm looking at if I'm just looking at one ad, the way I've been describing this lately is the Amazon ad dashboard is an unreliable narrator. It's not telling you everything. And so if you're looking at one ad, you're looking at a very small part of the puzzle. If you're looking at all your ads, say, okay, I spent $50. It says I had $30 in sales. I know that's only 70% of that max. So it's even less than that. So my ads stink. That's half of the tale. If we open up the whole thing, this one it was easier to do because it's sideways. So if we open up the whole thing, then we are going to know a lot more information. The whole picture is looking at, and this is what I tend to recommend now, the KDP beta dashboard, which shows you the dollar amount that you are earning. So that's kdpreports.amazon.com. It's still in beta, I guess. I have no idea.
Like 5 years it will be.
Yeah,
And like someday
I know.
they'll have all the things that Book Report has, and we'll just love
One of
it.
these days. Yeah, exactly. And I use Book Report as well. But if you look at your book report or you look at your KDP reports and it says, well, I know this one ad, it says it's not doing well. But overall, it says that I'm profitable. What does that mean? Well, does it mean this ad is not performing well? Maybe, but probably it's just Amazon ads being a little unreliable in sharing the sales that have come through, how many KENP, Kindle Edition normalized pages have been tracked. I've had authors say, I was making nothing before Amazon ads, and now I'm doing a lot better, but Amazon seems to only track 10 to 50% of my pages read that probably came from the ads at any given time. And so you could actually have an ad that when you shut it off, kills your sales that you didn't know were coming from that ad. And that's the thing I always want people to avoid. So first and foremost, open up the whole picture.
Yes, and if you go back in time and look at your ads back in time, it'll show more sales and more page rates than it did at the time too. So sometimes I go back and attribute it to things like that, but you're right. I often don't see it attribute to ads that I know are working.
Yeah, like you'll get a 14-day delay, but you might even get a more of a delay.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we found some sales lying on the floor here. Let's put them in.
Put those in,
Yeah. No, just be wary of pausing. Be wary. I would never archive an ad. Like, then you can't even restart it. Like, don't pause, don't archive until you know a lot more information.
Okay. So let's say you do have some more information now. Then what things would you like tweak now?
Sure.
Like, would you tweak anything or just start a new ad or?
I'm not big on tweaking. I know some are. Some like love continuing to add more words or to take words away or to adjust bids on certain keywords in ads. I'm not big on that because that feels like contracting to me. It feels like it's like thinking smaller when we could use some of this information to come up with, oh, well, I haven't really tried keywords like this. Maybe I should try 3 or 4 ads related to this. Like, I want to think about more ads. I want to think about more traffic to your books, not necessarily trying to refine it by 1% either way. Here's what I would say. Let's say overall, you're losing money. And it is on a specific book, let's say. So you're losing money on a specific book. You spent $30 and you made $10. First and foremost, I would wait until you've gotten those magical 100 clicks to come through. Usually while you're waiting for that, if there does happen to be read through to book 2, read through to book 3, that $10 might turn into $30 over time. Maybe not, but imagine if you turned stuff off and then later had $60 in sales because of read through, you'd be like, crap, why did I do that? Because that's still profitable. You need to think about your series as a whole.
Yeah.
Especially you've got 10 book series, 20 book series, 90 book series. People who have these giant series can lose money so crazily on book 1 and still make serious bank.
Yeah.
So if you're losing money on one book, usually it's wait, get to those 100 clicks. If you do 100 clicks and your conversion rate's like higher than 8, if it's 10, if it's 20, if it's 30 clicks to get a sale, usually that is going to be about, I like this question coming up here. Usually it is going to be about something that needs to be fixed on your sales page. And so you wait, you get those 100 clicks, you fix your sales page if the conversion rate and profit aren't so good, and then you do the whole thing over again. If you're break even, I would run on break even. Like, I would keep running ads because at the least, You might be getting some more reviews. You might be getting some more fans. It's no fun to be break even because it's like, why am I doing this? I'm making $0. But the hope is that at some point something will break. Maybe it's when the second book comes out, the third book comes out, you kind of break through. If you are making money on a certain book or series, make more ads. Don't do anything different. Like, you have to realize we get spoiled by our wonderful success stories. There's some in Writing Gals. I mean, the wonderful success stories that come in, we're spoiled by them. And we think, oh my gosh, if I don't have that, I must be screwing something up. But in reality, 80% of authors are not making money, or at least they're making a very small amount of money if they're making it. And that's a lot of those people are like, don't come into groups like y'all's and don't, like, they're trying to do this all on their own. But we get spoiled and we think, I'm only making $50 a month, or I'm only making $100 a month. That is a utility payment. That is something. It is not nothing. And so if you're making money, keep on with it. Keep on having that positive return. There will be dips and there will be hills going up, and it'll be good. But it's tough because people are like, well, I'm spending $50 to make $100. If I just stopped spending that $50, I would make twice as much. Not necessarily. You have to spend money to make money. This is not a magical industry that is unlike any other business. Every business requires marketing, and you are a business as an author.
Yeah.
So how many sales do you like to see per 100 clicks?
You caught me sipping, but
sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. There was like not much left, so it was like a long way to get to it. I used to say 10. That was always the guidance. That was always the guidance people said. Then we started seeing a lot of people saying, my conversion rate's 9 and I'm losing money. I'm like, what's going on here? And it's like, well, if you do math on 10 clicks, so you need to get a sale every 10 clicks, and you make $2 off a $2.99 book, that means your cost per click needs to be $2, which is what, $2.05. We're going to round it to 2. $2 divided by 10 is 20 cents per click. You're not getting clicks at 20 cents per click unless you're a children's book. Yeah. And so we realized 10 isn't going to work. Now, if you're in a series, a longer series, 10's probably going to be fine. But if it's a one-off book, it's got to be more in that 6 to 8 clicks range. And I got to say, it's harder for you wonderful wide people out there. It is harder because if someone clicks on an ad from doesn't mean it can't be successful, but someone clicks on an ad on Amazon and your book's in KU, they have 2 ways to give you money. If they click on an ad and you are not in KU, they have 1 way to give you money. And that's hard. Doesn't mean you shouldn't run ads if you're wide. You probably should still run ads, but that is one of the tough things. 6 to 8 for most novels. Children's books that are about 20 pages long and in KU, usually about 3 clicks to 1, which really, really stinks, and I feel bad about it, but that's just how it's got to be.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Okay, we have. Are you okay answering a few more questions? I know we're getting close to the hour.
I'm good to go over the hour. I really want to talk about this. That one, yes.
This one? Okay. Do you ever run into issues with running multiple ads to a book, i.e. it's competing with itself? How do you avoid that? Can you run an auto ad, ASIN ad, keyword ad, etc., and not confuse the algorithm?
Love this question. If you were to ask this question to Amazon support, they will tell you, yes, there will be problems. Don't do it. And they're wrong.
I'm like, I hope they're wrong because I'm competing against myself.
It's the funniest thing. It's not even about the competing. It's just like they say, your ad may not serve. And it's like, I remember just like I think I might have been in a Facebook post with like Mark Dawson and someone else who, like, if you've seen like the inside of Mark's dashboard from his ad course, it's like he's got hundreds of ads going to his Milton series. I've got hundreds of ads going to certain books that I've written. And then you hear this guidance. This is a stock support answer that Amazon has. Don't run more than 2 ads to a book. Well, Mark knows what he's talking about. He's making $1 million a month. I purportedly know what I'm talking about. Other authors definitely run more than 2 ads to one book.
Mm-hmm.
So if Amazon ever gives you this guidance, and I love Amazon, I really do. They have given so many of us the opportunity to do incredible things with our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with this particular support answer that they give, because I have not found this to be the case. But can an auto ad that is hitting a couple of certain keywords, that you are also running a keyword ad that has those keywords, can those compete with each other? I've heard that if they're in the same ad group, they don't. I've heard that it doesn't matter and they always do. Here's what I've got to say. This ads competing against each other problem is overrated. I don't care if ads are competing against each other. I want clicks. And look, it's hard to edit your keyword list really, really well to make sure there's no duplicates in there. So I don't. Like, there's a couple duplicates. Oh, well. Some people
More
will
chances.
say, yeah, exactly. Some people will say that's sacrilegious. And to that, I'm like, Amazon ads are not a religion. People. Yeah. But
I would think if we were seeing our own ads competing against each other, authors would be saying that they're paying way higher for clicks. And I have not seen evidence of that.
Yeah. There's more evidence. Another person who knows what they're talking about. So,
okay,
absolutely.
Awesome. And then this looks like they asked question number 2. If your dashboard is a mess from all that testing, is it better to work with the ads you have or roll things over into new ads to clean it up?
I understand what they're saying. I think that's a Cindy question due to the reply below. But so I would say that don't roll something into a new ad just to clean things up. Unfortunately, even if you archive an ad, which I still think you should never do, even if you archive an ad, it's still there. Now, you can run a filter. You can say, I would like to only see ads that are active. I would like to only see ads that have gotten more than 1 impression. There are ways to kind of filter things out, but they're temporary. It's not like all the time I will never see these things. And so one thing that people do is they put all of their ads for a particular book into a portfolio. So that's like a folder of ads, and you can actually create a portfolio. You can move things into it, like once it's started, and that essentially is become a new housing unit for those particular ads. And then you can just view the ads in that portfolio. Now, portfolios are interesting because you can actually set a budget cap for the entire portfolio. And so if you're worried about spending too much, you can say, let's set this portfolio cap at $50. And when it hits 50, it'll stop spending. And so the ads will effectively be paused until you say, I want to spend 55, I want to spend 60. So filters and portfolios are the best way to clean them up. There is no perfect system, unfortunately, because if you mess with filters too much, you forget you have a filter on and you're like, where did all my ads go? And so you do the best with what you've got.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I like to use the filters to filter my enabled and active ones, or at least because before it was like huge mess.
Yeah, I have 1,300 plus ads, so I hear you on needing to filter sometimes.
Yes. Okay. I think that is all of the questions that I had. I haven't seen any others in the chat. So maybe want to let us know how we can find out more about you, if we want, or how we can be in your ads universe or
Sure.
links for us?
It
to
is
go to?
becoming like an ads universe.
Yeah.
It's very much like the MCU. It's, you know, there's different heroes involved. So right now, I think the big thing is this Kickstarter that I'm doing for the Self-Publishing with Amazon Ads book. That's at kickamsads.com. It's running for another couple of weeks. But there's like all sorts of ways. If you like podcasts, I do a podcast every week, Sell More Book Show. And if you like things like the ad challenges, there is a Facebook group for that and a Slack group if you don't use Facebook. And that's the 5-day Amazon Ad Profit Challenge. But right now, I'm really excited about the book the most because it's like a double assessment here. How many people want a book on Amazon Ads? And how can this go? Like, how well can a pre-launch go? Because I'm thinking about doing this a couple times a year, doing these Kickstarters, because they're so fun. And yeah, they're a little anxious and stressful, but they're a really fun way. And I know Monica Leonel and Russell Nolte just did a Kickstarter for a book on how to do Kickstarters for authors, which just ended. But I love this idea that maybe there is a more direct way to reach our readers. And like, there was a time for like a year or two in the community where there was like, oh, you're offering a bonus with your book. You're a bad person. That's cheating. I'm like, it's marketing. Can we? I don't know.
People sometimes need that extra incentive.
Exactly. And with the Kickstarter, it's built in and understood that incentives are the name of the game. And so this is a way around the angry people from not that you can avoid all the angry people, certainly, but it was a way around the angry people. And it's just a really good way to give back, like giving back to your fans and giving them deleted scenes and epilogues, giving them the opportunity, if they've never heard of you, to buy your box set all right then and there. It's a really fun way to test it, because then we can say, oh, it works, or it doesn't work. And if we do hit a certain amount with the Kickstarter, we are going to have a behind the scenes of my Amazon ads for this book when it does come out. So I'm excited.
Cool. Okay, everyone, check that out. kickamsads.com. And I'll try to link that in the notes when we're all done with this. So, okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I have some new things that I'm going to try now. And I hope.
Oh, no, not new things, Judy.
Well, you know, I'm going to tweak what I'm already doing in a better way. Let's hope. I hope that everyone watching has found something to add to their little box of things to try. So, or tweak, whatever. Okay.
Or whatever.
Anyway, so thank you so much for coming, and thank you for watching, everyone. If you haven't liked our channel, like it. If you're not in our Facebook group, make sure you go and join that, The Writing Gals, on Facebook. So we're thankful you came, and we will.
We're going to miss next week. I was just going to let everybody know, because it's Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah.
But we're going to be back. Just because we're going to be gone next week, we're going to be back. So
yeah, we'll be back in December with an awesome topic. We will, it's a secret right now. We'll let you know what we're going to do.
Yes, it's a secret.
So anyway, we look forward to seeing you next time. We'll see you.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.